You might have seen these videos online and wondered what on earth is going on. Let's break down one of the most shocking wedding rituals you'll ever see. You see a groom in his full wedding attire, surrounded by guests with cameras rolling. Then, his mother steps forward, lifts her blouse, and performs an act that leaves millions of viewers speechless. This isn't a secret family moment, it's a very public ceremony. So what is actually going on? In some communities in India, a mother symbolically breastfeeds her adult son just before he leaves for his wedding. The tradition is meant to be her final act of maternal care, a powerful blessing to protect him in his new life and remind him to never forget her sacrifices. If the mother isn't alive, a sister-in-law might even step in to perform the ritual. While some families have modernized it to a symbolic touch on the chest, others still perform the full version. The practice likely started when grooms were young boys, but has continued into the modern day, creating a culture clash that sparks massive debate every time a video goes viral. Imagine if, before getting married, your partner had to sleep with your aunt, not as a betrayal, but as a mandatory high-stakes pre-wedding exam. In one historical African culture, the path to the altar was blocked by a final, shocking test. Both the bride and groom had to pass a practical exam, and the judge was a key family member. The groom faced a direct assessment of his manhood. He had to prove, physically, that he was capable of being a husband. The bride, meanwhile, had to prove her absolute purity. For the Banyankole tribe of Uganda, these weren't just expectations, they were strict requirements. The method for confirming both was as bizarre as it was direct. To ensure the groom was potent and the bride was a virgin, the bride's own aunt was tasked with having sex with the groom. This single act served as the ultimate test. If he passed, and the aunt was satisfied, she would then educate her niece on everything she needed to know. Thankfully, this tradition is no longer widely practiced. Would you let 4 strangers inspect you on your wedding day to prove your virginity to the entire village? On the Pacific island of Rotuma, a wedding wasn't just a celebration. It was a high-stakes public trial of the bride's purity. Based on anthropological notes from 1932, a daughter's virginity was a matter of immense family pride, and proving it was a crucial part of the ceremony. After bathing each other at the beach, the couple would return for the main event. 4 specially appointed women would conduct a physical inspection of the bride to confirm she was still a virgin. The entire community's honor rested on the outcome, but the pressure didn't stop there. That night, the couple had to sleep in public, watched over by elderly relatives. In one version of the custom, an old woman would go behind a screen with the bride to take her virginity, then toss out a blood-stained cloth as proof for the cheering crowd. The most shocking part? The groom and his male relatives had to offer symbolic compensation for the bride's loss of virginity. One of the bride's relatives would take a stone axe and cut the heads of the groom and up to 9 of his male family members, spilling their blood for the blood their relative was about to cause. Today, this tradition has evolved into a symbolic wrapping of the couple in fine white mats. Is this the most intense wedding pressure you've ever heard of? You thought the tradition of an aunt sleeping with the groom was wild? Wait until you hear what the bride's mother has to do in this rare wedding custom. If you've heard about the historical Banyankole tradition, where a bride's aunt would sleep with the groom to test him, that's just one piece of a much larger puzzle of family involvement in marriage. In another, even more direct African tradition, the focus shifts from the aunt to the mother. On the wedding night, it's not the aunt who gets involved, but the bride's own mother. She is required to sleep in the same room as the newly married couple. The justification for this shocking practice is educational. She is there to give her daughter, who is presumed to be a virgin, guidance and instruction on how to conduct herself and ensure the marriage starts off successfully. Her overnight stay acts as confirmation for the community that the marriage has been consummated. While it seems incredibly invasive to us, it stems from a time when a marriage's beginning was a public concern, not a private moment. From bedding ceremonies in Europe to this hands-on approach in Africa, ensuring a marriage was official has taken many strange forms throughout history. Which tradition is more shocking, the aunt with the groom or the mother with the couple? You might be familiar or might have seen videos of this tradition. But it has a dark history. At medieval weddings, guests would get so desperate for good luck that they would physically attack the bride, trying to rip pieces of her clothing right off her body. This wasn't a rare occurrence. It was a chaotic and often violent part of the celebration. In the Middle Ages, it was believed that owning a piece of the bride's wedding dress would bring you good luck and fertility. This superstition led to unruly guests literally mobbing the bride to tear away a lucky souvenir. To save her dress and herself from the frantic crowd, a new tradition was born. The bride would preemptively toss a specific piece of her attire to the guests as a token. satisfying their desire for a lucky charm without the violence. That specific piece of clothing? The bride's garter. What started as an act of self-preservation has evolved over centuries into the playful wedding reception ritual we see today. Now, the groom removes the garter from the bride's leg, sometimes with his hands, sometimes theatrically with his teeth, and tosses it over his shoulder to a crowd of unmarried men. The man who catches it is said to be the next to marry. Modern couples have put their own creative spins on it. Sometimes the groom is blindfolded and has to find his bride in a lineup before removing it. Other times, he might pull out a rubber chicken or a stuffed animal from under her dress first for a laugh. But knowing its dark and chaotic origins, many couples today are choosing to skip it altogether, feeling it's a bit too outdated and awkward for a modern celebration. Now that you know the history, would you still participate in the garter toss at a wedding? Let me know your thoughts below and follow for more history that isn't as innocent as it seems.